Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to QGTV. We're still in Ramadan 2011 and today is day 11 where we'll be doing chapter 14, which is chapter Ibrahim, and chapter 15, which is Al-Hijr. Right, so we begin with chapter 14, chapter Ibrahim. Chapter 14 starts with what I think is the defining theme which recurs throughout the chapter. That is the journey from Az-Zulumat, or the darknesses, ila an-nur, towards the light. So verse 1 says, Alif Lam Ra, Kitabun anzalnahu ilayka, a book which we descended to you, litukhrija an-nas, that you may bring out humankind or the people, min az-zulumat, from the darknesses, ila an-nur, towards the light, bi'idhni rabbihim, ila siratil aziz al-hamid, by the leave of your Lord, towards the path of Al-Aziz Al-Hamid, the one who is exalted in power or worthy of all praise. So this is the beginning of chapter 14, and I believe that chapter 14, the rest of chapter 14 helps to augment this point. For example, verses 5 to 8 talks about Musa taking his people into the light, and the darkness here is mentioned as the trials from Fir'aun. So Fir'aun brought great suppression on his people, and when Musa took his people out from the darkness into the light, he took them to their freedom. And this is said to be the Ayyamillah, the days of Allah. And the term shukr, or gratefulness, is mentioned here. And gratefulness is contrasted with kufr, or concealment. So the messengers, they say to their people, is there a doubt about God, the creator of the heavens and the earth? It is He who invites you in order that He may protect you from your deficiencies and give you respite for that appointed term. So obviously the apostles, the messengers, were rejected, and because they are human beings according to the logic of the disbelievers. And the messengers replied, we are human beings like yourselves, but God grants His grace to that of His servants as He wills. So the authority they bring is the authority from Allah. The people, they are said to reject the messengers because of the influence of Shaitan. And here, I think this is also a very unique point about chapter 14. Shaitan himself speaks. Shaitan talks about his promise. So Shaitan said, it was Allah who gave you a promise of al-haq, the truth. Al-haq, refer back to chapter 13. Yeah, so chapter 14 and 13 are very intimately linked here. I too gave a promise, the Shaitan is speaking, but I failed in my promise to you. I have no authority over you except to call you, but you listen to me, therefore reproach me not, but reproach your own souls. So there you go. I mean, at this point we can see that Shaitan is the stumbling block which prevents you from moving from the darknesses into the light. Next we move on to verses 24 till 27, which talks about the goodly word, or the wholesome word. Here, I mean, this is a very famous passage in the Quran, which says, do you not see how God puts forth a parable? A goodly word, kalimatu tayyibah, is like a goodly tree, or shajaratu tayyibah. Asluha thabit, its roots are firmly fixed. Wa far'uha fi sama, or its branches are in the sama, or the heavens. It brings forth its fruits at all times, bi'idhni rabbiha. Again here, bi'idhni rabbiha, so with the permission of your Lord. Go back to verse 1, that's what it says. So Allah sets forth a parable for mankind that they may vivify. يَتَذَكَّرُونَ. An unwholesome word, kalimatu khabith, it's like an unwholesome tree. It's torn up by the root from the surface of the earth. So it's not actually in the earth, it's on the surface of the earth, and it has no stability. So here we can see that God is showing us the mentalities which can bring about the positive results to take us from the darkness into light, which is the initial theme of this chapter. And if we cling on to the goodly word, then we will follow the same result. It sums up in in verse 27. It says, God will establish in strength those who believe. So yuthabbitu. So earlier in verse 24 it says thabit. Here is yuthabbitu. So it's the same word. God will establish in strength those who believe with a word that stands firm. Biqawli thabit. In this world and in the hereafter. So here we can see the power of the right ideas, the right concepts. It will bring forth fruits. So next we move on to the story of Ibrahim. Again, let's try to link it back to the journey from darkness into light. And Ibrahim said, Rabbi, aj'al hadha al-balad, place this land, aminan, as a place of security and peace, and preserve me and my sons, or me and my children, from worshipping the asnam, or the idols. He left the asnam from his people, so he's trying to preserve himself from it. And if we move on, he says, I have made some of my offspring to dwell in a valley without cultivation, in the precinct of your sacred bait, in order that they may establish salat. You see, so here they have made the journey from an oppressive environment into an environment without any kind of cultivation, so a fresh environment, so that they may live in accordance with the laws of Allah. And this is another theme in the whole journey from darkness into light. So this then continues. I mean, a great portion of this continues with the story of Ibrahim. And I would like to come to the end of this chapter now, where it gives a very unique verse and says, هذا بلغ للناس. هذا بلغ للناس. Balagh is a reaching. So this is talking about the Quran, is a reaching for mankind. So mankind can move in a journey from darkness into light with this Quran. وَلْيُنذِرُ بِهِ, that you may warn with it and let them know that He is no other than one God, and let the ulil albab vivify. So we go back to the ulil albab. The ulil albab, if you remember in verse 13, chapter 13 verse 17, they are also mentioned. So this again contributes to the idea that chapter 13 and 14 are twin chapters. So with that we move on to chapter 15, Al-Hijr.